Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, thank you so very much for joining us and for following along as I share with you Daniel 70th week. There will be some signs and struggles of that final week of years. It would be like a woman in travail just about ready to give birth to a child. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 24 of some of the things that will take place. I read it for you in my last devotion, and I'll read it for you and remind you of the struggle. He said, like a mighty armor moved the church of God. Brothers, we are treading where the saints have trod. We are not divided. All one body we, one in hope and doctrine, one in charity. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war with the cross of Jesus going on before. That's what we are. Soldiers, Christian soldiers of the Lord. Pastor Webster, what will be some of the signs and the struggles of this final week of years, known as Daniel's 70th week? If I tell you, I may make a mistake. So I rather to go to the Word and give you words from the Word and let the Word tell you. So let's look at some of the struggles. Chapter 24 of Daniel, reading from verse 1. Chapter 24 of Matthew, reading from verse 1. And Jesus went out, and he departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temples. And Jesus said unto them, see not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. It appears to me that the buildings were so beautiful that the disciples were impressed with the buildings of the temple, and they wanted to show Jesus what was built. But Jesus would never be impressed just with buildings. He said, as beautiful as they are, not one of them will be standing. Not one will be left. One stone upon another will be left. That should not be thrown down. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? You said that the temple will be destroyed, the buildings will be destroyed. When shall they be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus said unto them, take heed no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Could you imagine? During that time, not one person would say that I am Christ, but he said many will come and they will say, I am Christ, and many will believe it. So many will be deceived. There is Christ. He said, during that time you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you don't be troubled. Wars all over. Don't leave them trouble you. For all these days must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Tell us what shall happen at the end. For nations shall rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms. Jesus tell us, there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. What will happen among us? Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, till they be killing one another. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. The prophets, what they will be doing will deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Men who say they believe in God would wax cold. But here is where this verse is. Speaking of the tribulation period, after the believers are gone to heaven, he said, but he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. During the tribulation, it's not going to be easy to serve the Lord. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for witness unto all nations. Then shall the end come. The signs and struggles of the final week. I explained to you from Daniel 9 verse 20 to 27, the prophecy of Daniel, 69 weeks. At the end of our last devotion, I explained to you that Daniel prophecies spoke of 70 weeks, which we know that there were 70 weeks of years, 490 years, of which 483 of those years were already accounted for, and the remaining 7 were yet to come. I explained to you that these 7 years will begin just after the rapture, when Jesus Christ comes in the clouds to receive the born-again believers. Just after the rapture will be the beginning of the tribulation. I explained to you that Daniel were not given the events that would take place, but Jesus explained it to his disciples in Matthew 24 and 25. I explained to you that John also saw in heaven the events unfolding in Revelation chapter 4 all the way down to chapter 21, verse 27. From chapter 4 to chapter 21, verse 27, there you would see that which is future during the last 7 years of this age, beginning with the rapture and end with the second advent of Christ, when he comes with the raptured saints and angels to set up his eternal kingdom over all the earth. One thing we must do is to distinguish between the future tribulation of the last 7 years of this age and the ordinary tribulation that all Christians may have to endure more or less in every generation. In Matthew 24:3, and he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? The disciples asked Jesus 3 questions. Tell us, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming? And what shall be the sign of the end of the world? As I look at this, I can see that the tribulation will begin to affect Israel before the 70th week begins. How long before? You and I cannot be certain. And here is where I'm very concerned of what's happening with Israel now. Paul reminded the Thessalonians that the return of Christ will come as a thief in the night, unexpectedly, quick and suddenly. He explained in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1 to 3, but of the time and of the season, brethren, we have no need that I write unto you. For you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, for just about every day we hear in that word. Then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Yes, the similarity of a great life occurrence was used to indicate and to explain that the return will be future. Any mother knows that labor pains do not begin until shortly before delivery. Labor pains occur with increasing frequency until the baby is born. They may begin 2 or 3 hours apart, and then they get shorter and shorter. The very same way the events connected with the Lord's return will not begin until just before his return to earth to reign. Surely they will occur increasingly, rapidly, building up to the final event. For the people living in those days, what should they look for? So permit me to use the word but pain. But pains in those days. What should the people living in those days look for? In my next devotion, I'll begin by explaining but pain number 1. What will be but pain number 1? Stay tuned. Gladly will I explain to you but pain number 1 from our next devotion. What the people living in those days, the days to come, what should they look for? Please, if you have any concern about what will take place, get your Bible, follow along, and listen day by day as I share with you words from the Word about Daniel 70th week. God bless you. Thank you. Share it with a friend and with a loved one. I'll be back with the next devotion.